soccer in America was always and still is the number one kids sport. Participant wise, it's still the number one sport in America, but it never caught on competitively. Why do you think it has taken so long for Americans to become fans?
Well, it's a tricky question, and
welcome to Entrepreneurs of Playbook. I'm David Meltzer. We're here at the greatest stadium ever built. Maybe arguably Andres can tell us if he's been in better, because he's been in more stadiums probably than I have, but $5.5 billion and $1 billion TV screen behind us. That's not bad with American football, but I know Americans are ignorant and at times arrogant about their football. But I've been involved in the World Cup since I was CEO of Samsung's data division when they made the quarterfinals, Korea versus Italy. And when I went to the restroom in the third period before the extended period, I was the only one missing from my seat. If you don't think football, the original football, the world's best and biggest sport, is something significant, by the end of this podcast, you will. I'm blessed to have Andres Cantor here with me. He is the voice of football worldwide, because everybody knows, if you ask them, the number one, I think, branded voice and signature line, we have back by one of my friends, but there's nothing bigger than that call of goal. Andres Cantor, welcome to the Playbook.
it is my pleasure to be here. I mean, yes, this is probably one of the nicest, for sure, one of the newest and most expensive stadiums in the world, which actually is going to be U.S. home base, because they're going to play 2 out of the 3 first-round matches here. They'll kick off their World Cup campaign here. So I'm very excited that I'll be here calling their games.
And how many games at the World Cup have you called?
I've called 12 World Cups, 16 altogether, including the Women's World Cup. So it's been a long ride. I remember very vividly what was going on before 1994 when the World Cup was played here in the U.S. And I knew it was going to be a turnkey moment for the sport in our country. And it was. 2 years later, MLS was born, and now we have a very healthy 30-team league. And I'm looking forward with as much anticipation for next year's World Cup. We are 210 days away. And
who's counting?
yes, definitely. Believe me.
Yeah.
And, I get asked a lot by people outside of the country, what if there's any excitement. And I just tweeted this morning as soon as I arrived. An immigration officer, American, said, "Welcome back, Mr. Cantor. Are you getting ready for the World Cup?" I said, "Yes, sir."
That's so.
And that means that there is the excitement is slowly building.
And you are the voice of football, and most well known in Spanish, although you do and can broadcast in both English and Spanish. The excitement for World Cup has grown worldwide, but especially in America. You've seen the history of American, what we call soccer, football, and it's been interesting since I've been a child in the early 70s that soccer in America was always and still is the number one kids sport. Participant wise, it's still the number one sport in America, but it never caught on competitively. Even with the success of the women's team. Why do you think it has taken so long for Americans they grow up with soccer to become fans?
Well, it's a tricky question, and I get past this a lot, and my answer is always the same. First, I don't think soccer needs to compete with the other sports. They will never be or beat the NFL, the NBA, MLB. Maybe hockey, they'll be up there. Maybe. But I think soccer in this country has its own constituents, their followers. If you see the MLS stadiums, they're all filled to capacity. They're small venues, 24,000. Sometimes now with Messi playing in the league, they take the games to the bigger NFL stadiums and they put 70,000 people. You are right that is the number one participation sport among kids, both men and women. Why hasn't it gone on? Most likely because there hasn't been a superstar athlete that those kids can relate to. If you ask any kids, if you go to any Sunday league or Saturday game and you ask the kids, not the parents, so who is your favorite soccer player, they will say either Messi, which he happens to be playing now here, but they will say Mbappe, who plays in Real Madrid and for France. They will say Harry Kane, who plays in Bayern Munich and England, and maybe 1 out of 100 will give you an American name. We haven't had that impact at the national team level or at the club level, even though we have very good players that play abroad, like Christian Pulisic in Milan. There's most of the players are going to be starting next Saturday in Philly against Paraguay. Probably 8 out of 11 are based in Europe, but yet they don't have the exposure, they don't have the name recognition, and I think that is probably why it has. I don't know if it has taken soccer that long, but that is why I believe soccer doesn't have like more of a cult following than it should.
I do a lot of executive coaching, I was telling you, and it was the most expensive executive coaching call I ever had because they have gambling in the suites and they separate people, the fans, by visitors for safety. This is crazy shit. I'm just telling you. It's amazing. And you walk through in Man City, you walk through the town and it's like a parade. In fact, if you've seen my intro video of my speaking, it's me walking into the Man City game with people all behind me. And it's from 5 years old up. There's like, people wanting to fight that are on your shoulders that are 5 years old, maybe even giving you the finger. It's an amazing experience, but I was about to gamble and bet that Man City, the underdog, would win 1-0, the exact score, which had huge odds. And I was just going to put 100 euros on it. And I was gambling back then. I didn't understand intuition as well as I do now. Anyway, God called me to do this. But unfortunately, God called me, but so did my coaching client. And so I had to prioritize my coaching client. I walk away. They close the book. And literally, the person walks around with this little thing like this to take your bets. And of course, we all know what the score was, 1-0 Man City, which would have paid for my entire European vacation and several others, I think. But I realized when I was there that we don't have gambling or fantasy in the U.S. for soccer or football. And I think that had a great, significant impact. Do you think we will start having type of fantasy soccer or gambling be a greater, because the fanship through MLS now, we're starting to get a community. I think it'll take our fanship to the next level.
Yeah. There is some sort of gambling, depending on the state where you live. Like I live in Miami, and I do bet sometimes on Hard Rock Live.
Can you send me your picks?
No, because you'll lose every time.
I'll do the opposite. Yeah. As long as you're consistent, we can make money.
If being a soccer broadcaster for the last 4 years has shown me something and taught me something, is that I do not know how to predict soccer matches when I randomly bet online. Yeah, it could be. I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of betting around the World Cup, not here, but also around the world, and there will be fantasy games as well. But to your point, I know how big that is in the NFL, especially. So I don't think soccer is ready for that level of excitement through either betting or fantasy. Maybe that will change.
How much of the men's success worldwide for American players is because of coaching? We look in American football, we have the best coaches in Southern California. We have these amazing quarterback coaches, and by far it's made a huge difference. Do you think if we had the right coaches in America that we would be much more competitive?
100%. Not only coaches, but scouts as well. Because we just talked about the amount of kids that play this game. Many potential good players slip through the cracks because I don't want to sound too harsh, but many of the little leagues just have coaches that are more babysitters than coaches.
Dads.
That don't know the game, and they could have, a Messi on their hands and they don't recognize it and they just fall through the cracks and the kid goes on and plays something else or quits playing soccer. So I believe, coaches, better coaches at a young age, and this country, obviously, it's so big and it's so hard to identify good players because there's so many playing. But with better coaching at the youth level and better scouting to find those players, I have no doubt that potentially this country will be a powerhouse in soccer because now quantity doesn't equate to quality.
Mm-hmm.
It should close the gap, sometime because there are way too many kids. Just go out here in LA, any park on a given Sunday, and you'll see either organized leagues or just pickup games. And you see kids that have so much talent that if you coach them the right way, when they're 8, 9, 10, they might have a future.
And looking at talent and athleticism, been a student of sports for a long time, running the most notable sports agency, global sports marketing company, been exposed to baseball, football, basketball, soccer, all these different athletes, and appreciating coordination, speed, strength, all the different variants. And, to me, an NBA player is a remarkable specimen. And
Yep.
I put it up there, athleticism, greater than even decathletes that I used to look at, like Bruce Jenner or whatever her name is now, regardless, was an amazing athlete. But I don't think people appreciate, because of the non-use of hands, like what an extraordinary athlete Messi is, for example. The best of them. Like, to be able to run a 4.3 or 4.4, an American measurement,
Sure.
and at full speed catch a ball on your foot, literally catch it on his foot.
So this one.
Oh, this one, yeah. And then he lays it
The left
down
one.
perfectly to the right one, right?
Yeah.
So he lays it down perfectly to the right one. How do you equate the actual talent of soccer players as athleticism versus other sports, coming from some of that really?
Sure. This argument I have with all my Latin American friends and even journalists. I've been on a panel where they challenged me to say that NBA players are not as good as you say they are, because they play 3 minutes at a time and then sit down and go back to the game after resting. And I said, all you need to do is just go to an NBA game, sit courtside, and you will appreciate what athletes these guys are. They are amazing. And I know they fly private. I know they have special beds. I know they have nutritionists, coaches, psychologists, whatever they have. But yet they play, tonight in LA, tomorrow in Sacramento, on Sunday in Atlanta, day in, day out, grinding, hitting each other. They're tremendous athletes. And I believe soccer players are tremendous athletes because they play for 90 minutes straight with no timeouts, with, a level of concentration at the highest level. I'm talking about, obviously, the big leagues, Spain, Italy, Germany, England, the national team games. You have to have such level of concentration not to slip because you have a country behind you or a team base following your every move. And it's a collective sport. You need all 11 players to be up to the task. If Messi doesn't show up one day, probably that day his team will lose because he's that good. The coordination, like you say, being that the mental foot coordination, I believe is, I cannot speak because I've never played. I mean, I played, I shot the basket, but I'm not an athlete. But I believe the mind-foot coordination, it probably is a little bit tougher than playing with your hands. How ironic that football is called football, right? And they play with the hands, right? And soccer is whatever. Whoever came up with soccer is soccer because it's really football because you play with your feet. So I believe soccer players are tremendous athletes because they have to be in shape. They cannot. I mean, they play way too many games now. They play up to 70, 75 games a year, and just imagine running around for 90 minutes with the pressure that the game has nowadays with the top superstars. So, yeah, I believe they're tremendous athletes.
I don't think a lot of people appreciate the strategy of the game of football, soccer in America. There's a lot of things that go missed by fans in America, just like when we play American football.
Not only in America.
Right. Oh, really? Okay, good.
Yeah.
And so I love golf because of the mindset and the strategy. Like, there's so many life parallels in golf to, teach our children. There's so many life lessons. What are some of the life lessons in soccer that you've been around it for so long, as you have kids or grandkids, that you would talk about to teach them and analogize to soccer, to teach them the life lessons that you really learn by playing?
Sure. That it's a team sport and that you cannot win alone. That is the first one. That if I pass the ball to you, you can pass it. You don't need to pass it back to me. You can pass it to a teammate. To generate the chemistry in a team is everything. When you have a group of athletes playing a sport like soccer that has 18 players dressed up, if you are not generous with your teammate as you would be with your workers, or if you lead a company, in any realm of life, and just want to be about yourself, you have no chance. Soccer, just like in your case, golf, to me, has so many parallels with things that happen in life. You have to be generous, you have to have teamwork, you have to have chemistry within a group of players or employees or teammates or friends that play or work together. And there's so many other aspects that, the camaraderie in soccer is a must. Sometimes when you have a broken locker room, just like in any other sport, you can have 10 Messis or 11 Messis in that locker room, but if they don't talk to each other and the egos take over and, all they want to do is outplay the other and not play as a team, then that team has no future. So I think, bonding, chemistry, being generous with the talent that these guys have and not thinking about themselves, but thinking about the collective effort of the team, as any employee would be thinking about the collective, the effort of the company and not just of the employee. The employee will be rewarded if the company does well. So will the team, being a soccer team or an NBA team. Obviously, there are very few exceptions that are above the rest. The LeBrons, the Kobe's, whatever. We can go on with the Tigers. They are world superstar. But other than those, all others have to be at the same level. There is nobody greater than the sum of the parts.
What a beautiful lesson. What a beautiful sport. If you haven't learned more about football, soccer, with the World Cup coming up, what a great opportunity to educate yourself on the game, the players in the game, and the iconic leaders in the game, like our friend Andres Cantor. Now, I'd be amiss. I've had the Buffer Boys on here, so on the playbook, I've made sure that they said, "Let's get ready to rumble," their signature line. I would hope that you could grace us, right? You could grace us with your famous line, if you don't mind, to close us out.
Go! Should I keep going?
Yeah. There's nothing left to say. This is Dave Meltzer with Andres Cantor here at the greatest stadium ever built, SoFi Stadium, with the amazing Andres Cantor. Thanks for joining me. You have made my day.
Thank you.
It's like Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook. Join us again soon.